and potently describe and understand this supreme science, Rajavidyam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jata Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganitan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Svaminiti Namine Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. So our Srila Prabhupada, he is the engineer, the topmost engineer of the Transcendental science. He is called Acharya, or the one who teaches by example. And he is founder Acharya because he is the foundation of our society, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So our understanding of the science of bhakti is fully dependent on Prabhupada. We cannot come up with something new or something different. It's only through the mercy of Srila Prabhupada that we can understand things as they are, otherwise we remain in the darkness of ignorance. So, in order to be able to speak and give a meaningful seminar, we have to do it not from our own imagination, but we have to base it strictly on the teachings of Prabhupada. In other words, Krishna consciousness means to go deeper and deeper and deeper into the understanding of the teachings of Srila Prabhupada and how to manifest them within our every thought, our every word, and our every deed in all times, all places, and circumstances. So, in this connection, our first session is a very dynamic and important session, the art of dying. Now, is any of us here that don't have to worry about this? We don't have to die? No. Death is certain for every one of us. They say that two things are certain, death and taxes. The government will tax you and the material nature will kill you. Of course, we're speaking of the body here. But our bodies will die, that's a fact. These bodies will not remain forever. So how you leave your body, that determines where you will go. Everybody can move forward. There's plenty of space here. It feels more intimate and warm if we sit closer together. So, thank you. 1:15. Let's see, here we go. 2:15. So our first session will be based, thank you very much. Our first session will be based, we're reading from the second canto, chapter number 1, the first step in God realization. It's a wonderful, wonderful chapter, because that's where we are, my dear Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. We're beginners on this pathway. We're neophytes. Neophytes mean new. Even if we've been in the movement for 30 or 40 years, still we understand that we're new. If we consider the position of the Goswamis, position of Srila Prabhupada, the position of the six ghosts of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, we have to honestly feel that we're very new. We're just taking our little baby steps here in self-realization. So this chapter is a very, very important chapter, and I was delighted to find out that my the organizers of the seminar asked me to speak from the second canto, chapter 1, because this chapter is very, very extremely important chapter. We don't really study it enough. So this is a great opportunity today. We can go deeper into Bhagavatam, second canto, chapter 1, the first step in God realization. Antakale tu purusha agate gatta sadavasa chinyad asanga shastrena spriham dehe nuye chatam. At the last stage of one's life, one should be bold enough not to be afraid of death. But one must cast off all attachment to the material body and everything pertaining to it and all desires thereof. Wow, that's really great. We're being ordered here to be bold at the time of death, not to be a chicken, as we say in America, a coward. Don't be a chicken, a coward. Be bold at the time of death, you see. So how do you do that? The Prabhupada will tell us in the purport now how to be bold at the time of death. Purport: the foolishness of gross materialism is that people think of making a permanent settlement in this world, although it is a settled fact that one has to give up everything here that has been created by valuable human energy. Great statesmen, scientists, philosophers, etc., who are foolish without any information of the spirit soul, think that this life of a few years only is all in all, and that there is nothing more after death. This poor fund of knowledge, even in the so-called learned circles of this world, is killing the vitality of human energy, and the awful result is being keenly felt. And yet, the foolish materialistic men do not care about what is going to happen in the next life. The preliminary instruction in the Bhagavad Gita is that one should know that the identity of the individual living being is not lost even after the end of this present body, which is nothing but an outward dress only. As one changes an old garment, so the individual living being also changes his body, and this change of body is called death. Death is therefore a process of changing the body at the end of the duration of the present life. An intelligent person must be prepared for this and must try to have the best type of body in the next life. The best type of body is a spiritual body which is obtained by those who go back to the kingdom of God or enter the realm of Brahman. In the second chapter of this canto, this matter will be broadly discussed, but as far as the change of body is concerned, one must prepare now for the next life. Foolish people attach more importance to the present temporary life, and thus the foolish leaders make appeals to the body and the bodily relations. The bodily relations extend not only to this body, but also to the family members, wife, children, society, country, and so many other things, which end at the end of life. After death, one forgets everything about the present bodily relations. We have a little experience of this at night when we go to sleep. While sleeping, we forget everything about this body and bodily relations. Although this forgetfulness is is a temporary situation for a few hours only. Death is nothing but sleeping for a few months in order to develop another term of bodily engagement, which we are awarded by the law of nature according to our aspiration. Therefore, one only has to change the aspiration during the course of this present body, and for this there is need of training in the current duration of life. This training can be done at any stage of life or even a few seconds before death. But the usual procedure is for one to get the training from very early in life, from the stage of brahmacharya, and gradually progress to grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas orders of life. The institution which gives such training is called varnashrama dharma, or the system of Sanatana Dharma, the best procedure for making the human life perfect. One is therefore required to give up the attachment to family or social or political life just at the age of 50 years, if not earlier, and the training in the Vanaprastha and Sannyas ashrams is given for preparation of the next life. Foolish materialists, in the garb of leaders of the people in general, stick to family affairs without attempting to cut off relations with them, and thus they become victims of nature's law and get gross bodies again according to their work. Such foolish leaders may have some respect for the people at the end of life, but that does not mean that such leaders will be immune to the natural laws under which everyone is tightly bound with the hands and feet. The best thing, therefore, that everyone voluntarily give up family relations by transferring the attachment from family, society, country, and everything thereof to the devotional service of the Lord. It is stated herein that one should give up all desires of family attachment. One must have a chance for better desires, otherwise there is no chance of giving up such morbid desires. Wow. Brahman says family attachment is morbid. That's a pretty heavy statement. Morbid means of the nature of death. Desire is the concomitant factor of the living entity. The living entity is eternal, and therefore his desires, which are natural for a living being, are also eternal. One cannot therefore stop desiring, but the subject matter for desires can be changed, so one must develop the desire for returning home back to Godhead. And automatically the desires for material gain, honor, and material popularity will diminish in proportion to the development of devotional service. A living being is meant for service activities, and his desires are centered around such a service attitude. Beginning from the top executive of the state down to the insignificant pauper in the street, all are rendering some sort of service to others. The perfection of such a service attitude is only attained simply by transferring the desire of service from matter to spirit, or from Satan to God. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we have a nice program. As questions come up, is there paper going around now? You can write your questions on paper. As soon as a question pops into your head, just get a piece of paper and write it down. We'll have a question and answer session. This session goes to 11:45, which is 50 minutes from now. So I'll speak for some time, and then we'll have a wonderful question and answer session. So this is a very, very poignant and important instruction coming from Prabhupada, because the fact is we're all going to die. The culture of the material world is that we're never going to die, you see. We're not really trained to be conscious of the fact that death can come at any minute. We're taught, make money, get a nice house, get a nice wife, get kids, set up your wonderful enjoyment for yourself in this material world. That's how we're trained, you see. But it's very clearly described in the Mahabharata. Ahani ahani bhutani ganchanti layamalayam shesha saramichchami kemmascharyamatahaparam. This question was asked by Yamaraj of Maharaj Yudhishthira. That what is the most amazing thing in this world? And Maharaj Yudhishthira, he is not just a king, but he is Rishi, he is Rajarshi, he is a king and a great sage simultaneously. Therefore he answered as a sage would answer. Even though he is a Kshatriya, he's a sage. The real Kshatriya, there are sages also in the same time. Raja Rishi, Rajarshi. So he very wisely answered that at every moment countless numbers of living beings are being dragged to the court of Yamaraj. Death. But those who are remaining here, they think, oh, not me, I'm immune to death. Kim Musharyamataha Param, there is nothing more wonderful than this. So that's the phenomenon. We advertise art of dying, and most people think, well, that doesn't really apply to me. I don't have to worry about that. You see? If we go to Delhi and have a big seminar, we rent a huge stadium. We're having a seminar, the art of dying. How many people will come? Most people think, well, it doesn't apply to me. Maybe if you have cancer, then you might be interested to go. But it doesn't really apply to me, the art of dying. You see, we don't think it's very important, but actually this is the most important art or science or technique or methodology that one should study, how to die. Because at any moment we can be snuffed out by the laws of nature. Any minute. In traffic, it could be a heart attack, some goon that could attack you to rob your money, you never know. You never know when death's going to come. So we have to be prepared at every minute. Every minute we should be prepared. And what is that preparation? To take shelter of Krishna. You see. Prabhupada told us many years ago in Los Angeles, a wonderful lecture he gave. He said that deathlessness begins from the moment from the day of initiation, when deathlessness begins. So the art of dying means the art of how to enter into deathlessness. So to teach the art of dying means we want to teach you how to become deathless. How to become transcendental to death, you see. This is the training. So the first step is to realize I'm not the body. I don't die. As long as we continue to identify with this material body, we remain within the clutches of karma chakra. We perform an activity, we get the result, that result binds us, we perform another activity under the influence of the first activity, it just goes on ad infinitum for millions and millions of lifetimes. As long as we remain in bodily consciousness, we remain caught up, janma, mrityu, jara, vyadi, birth, death, old age, and disease. But one realizes I'm not this body, I'm an eternal spiritual being, jivara sarupahai krishnara nityadas, then he becomes a candidate for liberation. I say candidate because this understanding you're not the body is not enough. To have a theoretical Brahman understanding is not enough. You have to actually become solidly situated in Brahman understanding. You have to manifest it. If I say I'm a spiritual being, I'm not the body, but yet I'm still addicted to gratifying these material senses, then I'm not liberated, even though I know better. As long as I'm caught up in gratifying these material senses, I'm a conditioned soul, I'm subject to the laws of death. But one who actually turns his whole life into bhakti or devotion to Krishna, you see, that person is already liberated. For him, death is nothing. As we say in America, a piece of cake. It's just a piece of cake. No problem, you see. Just like we may have a kurta, you see, and then you go by you walk by some wall and there's a nail and then your kurta catches on the wall and you rip it and your kurta is finished. Well, no big deal, just throw away, you have another kurta, put it on, you see. So this body is just kurta, it's just a garment we're wearing, that's all it is. If you're firmly convinced that you are an eternal spiritual being, you have an eternal spiritual body which is not subject to birth, old age, and disease, then if this body falls apart, there's no problem. No problem. Just go there, just get another one, that's all. As long as one continues to think, I am this body, he must remain in a state of anxiety. Because then he thinks, I am sick. I am getting old. Oh no, I am dying. You see? So the key is you have to be firmly convinced, I am not this body, I'm an eternal spiritual being, I'm qualitatively one with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So how does one get free then from the addiction to material sense gratification? Because this addiction to material sense gratification is what keeps us rooted in the false bodily conception. How do you get free from that? How do you get free from the desire for sense gratification? Param drishla nivartate. We must get the higher taste. So that is a very, very important thing. We have to get a higher taste for Krishna consciousness. We have to find the ways and means that we can relish Krishna Bhakti 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That we're not going, oh no, I have to do this, I have to do that, oh God, I have to do this, and no. We're actually relishing. Now I have the privilege of getting up and going to Mangalarti. Now I am blessed with the privilege of getting up, chanting japa. Now I am blessed with the privilege of working a job to support a family that I can raise in Krishna consciousness. You see, one has to take one's service as a blessing, not as a botheration. In other words, we have to learn how to render service with a mood of gratitude, or as they say, an attitude of gratitude. We have to see how Krishna is blessing us, how the mercy of Krishna is coming down to us through the disciplic succession. That's the key. Always feel grateful. Oh wow! How fortunate I am to have this opportunity to do this service. How fortunate I am to have the opportunity to associate with this devotee. You see? We should never take it for granted. Sometimes people, they just find fault. Well, this and that, so many faults. They don't realize the great good fortune they have to be in the association of devotees. For millions of lifetimes, due to bad association with the non-devotees, those who think that they themselves are God, we have been forced to suffer in so many ways. Birth, death, old age, and disease, adhyatmic, adhibautic, adhidaivik, suffering for millions and millions of births due to bad association. But Prabhupada is giving us the opportunity now to get divine association. There's Prabhupada himself. Many of us were fortunate, of course we're a dying number now. Many of us were fortunate to directly associate with Srila Prabhupada. I see in the room here, do we have any Prabhupada disciples here today? 1, 2. There's 2 of us. That shows you how when we used to come to Vrindavan in the old days, we were all Prabhupada disciples. The whole festival was Prabhupada disciples. When I first came to India, it was all Prabhupada disciples. And now just see, you see, we're dying off. But you all are coming on board to keep the thing going after we're gone. But so Prabhupada gave himself as divine association for us. He gave his books, and he mercifully, actually this business of recording the lectures, Prabhupada did that. He started it. When Prabhupada started the movement, They didn't have cassette players or MP3 recorders. It was the gigantic reel-to-reel recording machines. Prabhupada actually had a reel-to-reel recorder, and he was recording his lectures. Even before we started recording him, he recorded them. So that we could have his divine... In fact, the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita, you know how Prabhupada wrote the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita? One night, nobody came for the lecture. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, if nobody comes, preach to the four walls. So Prabhupada did that. He preached to the four walls with a tape machine turned on, and that's the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita. A lecture, but nobody showed up. So Prabhupada's direct association was there, and then it's there in the form of his recorded lectures, in the form of his books, in the form of his disciples who have so many memories of Prabhupada. So in this way, actually, in so many ways, the ISKCON means to get the divine association of Srila Prabhupada. That's what it means. So by that divine association of Srila Prabhupada, what does Bhagavad Gita say? Sangat sanjayate kama. One's consciousness is developed by the association that he keeps, the company that he keeps. So actually all we're doing here in ISKCON is we're all associating with Srila Prabhupada. Directly, some of us had that. Of course it is direct for you also. Prabhupada is directly available in his books. By reading Prabhupada's books and serving Prabhupada's mission, you are directly associating with Srila Prabhupada. That's a fact. So Prabhupada one time said, simultaneously direct and indirect. So you're getting his association through your Guru Maharajas, you're getting it through the Prabhupada disciples, you're getting it through the books. So in one sense it's indirect, but it's also direct. Simultaneously both direct and indirect. So here we are, actually right now we're associating with Prabhupada. His divine grace, Srila Prabhupada, actually present right here with us, and he's blessing us. You see? So by that association of Srila Prabhupada, we are becoming transcendentalized, Krishnized, spiritualized. And as one becomes spiritualized, Krishnized, transcendentalized, etc. What happens is material sense gratification, instead of appearing very delightful, starts to appear very morbid. What previously seemed to be, wow, it's so great, wow, that is just like, no thank you. I was just reading a few minutes ago, Prabhupada was saying in Vaikuntha Loka, they're amazed that anybody can be attracted by sex. This is like sometimes you may have to blow your nose, right? Get some mucus, you blow your nose. You feel all excited, oh wow, I get to blow my nose, it feels so good. You see? It's just some body dirty thing you have to do, Gotta blow my nose, Prabhu. You don't feel all alive, but oh wow, it feels so good. Right? No one goes excited and alive and to blow their nose, right? In the Vaikuntha Loka, to them sex is just like blowing your nose. It's like, they wonder, how could somebody be infatuated by it? It's so gross. It's just some gross, nasty, dirty thing. How they could be so enamored by it. In the Vaikuntha Loka, Prabhupada said they feel like that. But right now, we're in a world where people are just completely enamored by it. Cupid's flying around, zing, 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 zing. He's zapping us, Cupid's getting us with the arrow, and going, look at that pretty girl over there. Look at that cool looking guy over there. Oh, wow. You see, Cupid is doing his number on us. But Cupid is actually attracted to someone whose name is Madan Mohan, the attractor of Cupid, Krishna. That person who is attracting everyone with lusty desire, piercing their heart with the arrow of lusty desires. He is attracted by Madan Mohan, Krishna. So, if you become attracted by Krishna, Madan Mohan will no longer be able to pierce you. You'll have a Cupid-proof heart. If Cupid shoots an arrow at you, it'll just bounce right off. You see? Because you have a higher taste. That's actually confirmed by Jamunacharya Al-Manju. Yadavadi mama cheta Krishna padara vinde Nava nava rasa damanu yatarantu masit Tadavadi bhattanari Sangame smayamane Bhavati mukhushtu nishtivanam cha. This is described, Prabhupada mentioned in his Bhagavad Gita purport, this very nice shloka. Jamunacharya Al-Banju, he is saying that ever since I have engaged in the transcendental loving service of Shri Shri Radha and Krishna, deriving Nava Rasa, ever newer, sweeter taste in that service, whenever somehow or other I think of enjoying sex, my lips curl with this taste and I spit. That's the problem. So once you get that higher taste, you see, these things won't attract you anymore. And if somehow they enter your brain because of, being seeing a billboard or some external thing in the material world that could make one lusty, it just bounced right off. You got it. So Krishna consciousness really is a higher taste. We have to just relish how wonderful is Krishna. How sublime is Krishna. We just have to relish Krishna. That's all. We just have to learn how to relish Krishna. Vainum kvanandamaravindanayataksam barhavatam samasitam buddhasundarangam kandarpakoti kamaniya vishesha shovam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship the primeval Lord Govinda, who is adept at playing on his flute, with blooming eyes like lotus petals. Can you imagine somebody whose eyes are blooming like lotus petals? How beautiful they would be, how attractive they would be. If you were to see such a person, you'd go, wow, look at that person, his eyes are blooming like lotus petals. Blooming eyes like lotus petals, head decked with a peacock feather, with a figure of beauty tinged with the hue of blue clouds, and whose unique loveliness is charming millions of cupids. I mean, that's pretty amazing. Just imagine a person like that. If you could see such a person, you could associate with such a person, you could become an intimate associate of such a person. That is called Krishna consciousness. So really, all you have to do to master the art of dying is somehow become enamored by Krishna. That's all. That beautiful, good-looking boy. I mean, Krishna is cool. He really is. He's a supreme cool. So many wonderful verses describing Krishna, you see. Ananda Chinmaya Rasat, Ananda Chinmaya Rasat, Ananda Chinmaya Rasat. Yapraninam pratapilam smaratam upeksha. Vilayatena brvanani jayat jajashvam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, whose glory ever triumphantly dominates the mundane world by the activities of his own pastimes being reflected in the minds of recollecting souls as the transcendental entity of ever blissful cognitive rasa. I really like that verse of Brahmanshi. That's text number, chapter 542 of the Brahma Samhita. Being reflected in the minds of recollecting souls. Well, who are those recollecting souls? These are the great sages. Well, you think we could do that too? Yeah. That's what we're talking about. Transcendental engineering means how you can become one of those recollecting souls whose heart is like a mirror reflecting the pastimes of Krishna. That's what we're talking about here, transcendental engineering. How you can become one of those recollecting souls, being reflected in the minds of recollecting souls as the transcendental entity of ever blissful cognitive rasa. Wow, that's pretty amazing. Blissful cognitive rasa. Rasa means essence or sweetness or relationship or flavor, you see. Cognitive rasa means full of knowledge, full of bliss, a relationship which is pregnant with bliss and with knowledge, you see. Not some dry, sterile, mechanical relationship, but a relationship which is overflooded with bliss and cognizance, you see. This is what it means to awaken your Krishna consciousness, you see. You get to have a relationship with God Himself. That person is the source of everything, the source of all the avatars. Ramadhi murti shakala niyame natishtam nanavataram bhuvaneshakintu yasambhavat krishnam svayat samabhavat paramapamanyo govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who manifested Himself as Krishna. That's a pretty amazing verse, actually. Someone says, where does Krishna come from? You ever someone ask you that? Where does Krishna come from? Brahmaji says, Krishna comes from Govinda. If someone ever asks you, where does Krishna go from? The verse says, I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord who manifested Himself as Krishna. So you can say, well, Krishna comes from Govinda. Well, who's Govinda? He's Krishna. Krishna comes from Krishna. That is the meaning of God. Anadir, He has no origin. Adir, He is the origin. Some say, what's the origin of Krishna? He has no origin, that's why He's God. God has no origin. If He has an origin, He's not God. You see? So Brahmaji says, who manifested Himself as Krishna and the different avatars in the world, such as Rama, Nrsimha, Vamana, etc., as His subjective portions. So just imagine, if you could have a relationship, all these different, there's actually an infinite number of incarnations of God. If you could go to the beach, all the beaches of all the oceans on this planet, and you could count every single grain of sand on every beach on this planet, you still could not count how many incarnations of God there are within the reality, within the existence. But every single one of those incarnations of God, they are all emanating from Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. So just imagine if you could actually have a personal, intimate, loving relationship with that person who's the source of Ram, Nrsimha, Vamana, etc. You see. So the Transcendental Engineering Science teaches us how to do that. It teaches us how to do that. This is the ultimate self-realization system, you see. Some follow the path of Brahman realization. They want to merge into Brahman. Some follow the pathway of Paramatma realization. They want to realize the four-armed form of the Lord within the heart. But those who are highly intelligent, those who are highly fortunate, they follow the path of Bhagavan realization, the ultimate self-realization system, in order to revive their original transcendental identity. This process is fun. It requires work, yes, but the work is fun. You see, if one has a goal, and they're very greedy to achieve a certain goal, they don't mind working hard to get it. That work is fun. He's like a successful businessman. He's becoming a millionaire and then a billionaire. He loves going to the office every day. He's fired up. He only sleeps 4 hours. He gets up early in the morning. You see these successful businessmen, they don't sleep very much because they love they're excited to make more money. They're enlivened. They sleep little as possible and they get up and get back to work again. More money, more money, more money, more money. You see. So the devotee is the same way. Just like the businessman is greedy for money, more money, the devotee is greedy for bhakti. More bhakti, more bhakti, more bhakti, more bhakti, more bhakti, more bhakti. Every day I want to, just like the businessman wants to make as much profit as he can every day, a devotee is exactly the same, except transcendentally. He wants to make as much spiritual advancement every day, every minute, as much as he possibly can. Doesn't want to waste his time with frivolosities. You see, he simply wants to focus on awakening the dormant love of God within the heart. Because once one achieves that state of consciousness, his happiness surpasses even the demigods on the heavenly planet. It even surpasses the happiness of being a Brahmaji in the topmost planet of the material world. So it's not some just, become a little pious. This is becoming completely purified, a completely self-realized soul. The transcendental science of Krishna conscious engineering means you become a completely liberated soul. Paramahamsa, you see. Prabhupada wants us all to become completely pure devotees, just like I mentioned in the Bhagavatam class. He wrote me one letter, he said, now you disqualify yourself to see Krishna face to face. Can you imagine? What an amazing order Prabhupada gave. Now you just become qualified to see Krishna face to face. Well, that's what Prabhupada wants us to do. He wants us all to become completely pure devotees who can see Krishna face to face. That's a pretty high level. I'm sure Prabhupada, I was not some leader. I was just some rank and file brahmachari. Prabhupada wrote me a letter like that. I wasn't a temple president. I wasn't a Sankirtan leader. I wasn't a head vajari. I was a head cook one time. But I didn't have any big position. I'm just a humble pot washer. But Prabhupada told me, you become qualified to see Krishna face to face. So I can understand that Artha applies to everyone in our movement. Big, little, small, in between, whatever your position is, you should become a pure devotee. You can become qualified to see Krishna face to face. And Prabhupada's books are telling us exactly what we have to do to achieve them. All we have to do is follow what's in the books. Don't water it down. Take what's in the books, don't adulterate it with any other ideas, sense gratification, sahajaism, whatever it may be. Don't in any way water down what's in Prabhupada's books. Strictly follow what's in Prabhupada's books, and you will achieve the supreme perfection in due course of time. If you have any questions, pass them forward. If you haven't written the question down yet, go ahead. We have a 20 minutes session, and then we're going to take a break. A 20-minute break. Enough time to chant your noon Gayatri if you're Brahmana. 20-minute break. Our next session will be 12:05 to 1:20. Okay, here's some questions. Good. Okay, the first question. How to win over sleep? This is not an easy thing to do, to be honest. Winning over sleep is not an easy thing because we've been enjoying sleep for millions of lifetimes. Sleep is considered a great enjoyment in this material world. I know when I was a college student, we had one boy in our dormitory. They used to call him the bear. because on Friday when all the classes was over, he would go to sleep, and he would sleep as long as he possibly could. He would sleep like 24 hours. He would sleep until Saturday afternoon. I mean, that was his thing. That was his enjoyment on the weekend. He would sleep for 24 hours, can you imagine? And everybody would be quiet when they went by his room, out of respect. So, this sleep is not an easy thing to overcome. But if you're excited about something, then sleep goes away. If you're enlivened about something. So we have to try to become enlivened. If we have a hard time waking up in the morning, you can set 2 alarm clocks. Just like if you have a smartphone, you can set it for, 3:30, 3:31, 3:32. You have it keep going off, as many as you need. If even 5 times, 3:01, 2:30, 2:31, 2:33, as many times as you need to get it to or have some other devotee check on you to wake you up. Have some other devotee who's able to get up before you to double check. Well, I set my alarm for 3:30, but just make sure I'm up. If you really, make an intelligent endeavor to get up and take help from others. It's sometimes difficult for us to overcome sleep. But if we make that endeavor sincerely, beg for Radharani's mercy, beg for Prabhupada's mercy, beg for Guru's mercy, then we can be successful. When you say that you will see Krishna face to face, doesn't mean you're seeing Gurudev at every minute. Actually, if one becomes qualified to see Krishna face to face, he'll also be able to directly connect with Srila Prabhupada as well. They asked Prabhupada one time, and said, Srila Prabhupada, if you're not present, can we communicate with you? He said, if your heart is pure. So one can communicate, if one is completely pure devotee, he has access to Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Gaur. He has complete access to Krishna and all the great acharyas, to associate with them and inquire from them even. In another letter, Prabhupada told me, he said, if you will serve Krishna with 24 hours a day, with full sincerity of attitude, then he'll personally come and answer all of your questions. So if we really become dedicated to become pure, we'll have access to Krishna, to Prabhupada, to all the great acharyas. You said somehow or other we must relish Krishna. Doesn't mean that one is trying to enjoy Krishna. I can't hear you. Write it down. Take a piece of paper and write it down.
This is from Guru Maharaj.
Doesn't matter who it's from. So, if I say, actually Prabhupada told us, he said, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Now, does that being happy means that I'm trying to enjoy Krishna? Or I'm trying to obey Prabhupada? We should try to come to a position where we relish hearing about Krishna, we relish seeing Krishna's deity form. We should try to come to that position where we feel great happiness and joy to see the deities. Is it wrong to relish the darshan of Krishna Balaram? To feel happy to see them? Is that something wrong? Am I enjoying that? No, it's not an enjoying mood. The one has to see in the mood of service, being a servant of the Lord. Not that I'm seeing Krishna and trying to, get him to serve me. Just like that song, Give me a Cadillac, a brand new Cadillac. replete with Michelin tires. Give my wife a new silk sari. Give my kids a Harvard education. Give me a house by the sea. Om Jaya Jagadisha Hari. Not like that. That I want Krishna to satisfy me. But actually, to want to actually relish Krishna consciousness is not wrong. Otherwise, why did Prabhupada say chant and be happy? He wants us to relish Krishna consciousness. He said, take prasadam to your full satisfaction. So we want to take the darshan of the deity in such a way that we feel great pleasure in doing that. Otherwise, we will go to sex life. We have to feel pleasure from the devotional service, from chanting. Chant in such a way that you become ecstatic. Not that you're trying to enjoy the holy name, that's not the point. If you're in the mood of service, in the mood of surrendering yourself to Krishna, you will naturally enjoy. In other words, the servant enjoys on an equal level with the king. So, the way to relish Krishna is to act in such a way that he will relish you. You see what I'm saying? We don't want to enjoy Krishna, we want to act in such a way that Krishna will enjoy us. The way we're chanting, the way we're dancing, the way we're singing, the way we're cooking, the way we're cleaning, the way we're preaching, the way we're... so many things. We want Krishna to enjoy us. That is his position. He's the supreme enjoyer. But when you do that, the natural result is you will enjoy like anything. So, when I say somehow we must relish Krishna, what I'm saying is we must act in such a way that Krishna will relish our attitude, our service, the way we speak, everything about us. Krishna will relish it like anything. So that's what it really means to relish Krishna. You act in such a way that he relishes you. Krishna likes to relish his devotees. Just like that prayer in the Jagannathastakam, I quoted this earlier this morning. Kadachit kalindi tatavipina sangeet taktaravo muda bittinari vadanna kamalasva navadupa Rama Shambhu Bhama Mara Petiganasya Chittapado Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Bhava Tume. Sometimes in great happiness, Lord Jagannath makes a loud concert with his flute in the groves on the banks of the Jamuna. He is like a bumblebee who relishes the beautiful lotus-like faces of the cowherd damsels of Vraja. And great personalities such as Lakshmi, Shiva, Brahma, Indra and Ganesh worship his lotus feet. May that Jagannath Swami be the object of my vision. So Krishna does relish. He not only relishes the lotus-like faces of those beautiful, those gorgeous gopi girls, even us ugly folks, he relishes our sincere attempt to serve him and please him. So, relishing Krishna comes naturally to the extent that you act in such a way that he relishes you. I hope that's clear. You should come to a point where you can relish everything about Krishna consciousness. I love getting up for Mangalarti. I love going to Prabhupada's Samadhi at 4:10 a.m. I relish it. It's sweet. I love going to Vrindavan Dham. I love going out. I love preaching. I love books. We should love everything. You should come to the point, I love serving the devotees. I love cooking for the Vaishnavas. I love washing Krishna's pots because I'm cleaning my heart. We should come to the point where we can relish absolutely everything about Krishna consciousness. Okay. Hare Krishna, I wish I could associate with a source of ever something, of everything ever existing. Krishna, however, as far as I understand, on Goloka Vrindavan we will also be in illusion and we will hardly realize who we are
something with service, etc. Thank you. Oh, also, how should aspect of Satchidananda appears in the spiritual world? So, it's a little unclear, but I'll try to figure it out here. Wish I could associate the source of everything. However, Krishna and Gokul Vrindavan will also be an illusion. We won't realize who we are playing with, serving, etc. So one may think, well, that wouldn't be too good if I didn't realize I was associating with God. I mean, I really want to know that I'm serving God. And if I was in Goloka and my Sarupa, I wouldn't know that I was serving God, and I'd be kind of like missing out. Not true. No, it doesn't work that way. The thing is, you want something for yourself. Instead of thinking, what I can do to please Krishna, you're thinking, I want this. I want to have knowledge that I'm dealing with God. I don't want to forget and just think I'm serving some cute little kid who lives next door. In the hut next door, you see. Like the cowherd boys, they don't know that Krishna is God. They just know, wow, that Krishna is really cool. I mean, he's really amazing. He does all these amazing things. Wow, I mean, it's just, he's so cool, he's so wonderful, he's so dynamic and so clever. I just like him like anything. All I can do is think about him, talk about him, serve him, run to him, do this and that for Krishna. They don't know that he's God, so are they missing out? No. The Vrijabasis, even though they don't know that Krishna is God, they are in the highest, most intimate, loving rasa with Krishna, more than the Vaikuntha Vasis who know that Narayan is the Supreme. What are the symptoms of someone who's not afraid of dying? He's absolutely ecstatic in all times, all places, and all circumstances. Like Prabhupada. Okay. How to attach with your family without attachment? How to be attached without being attached? That's an interesting question. How do I be attached without being attached? Actually, Prabhupada explains that family, it is natural object of attachment. And you're allowed to be, there is a certain amount of attachment one is allowed to have as one's quota. Ishavashamitam sarvam yatkincha jagadam jagat tena chiktena bunjita magrida krishasvibdanam. Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. Therefore, one should accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota, knowing well to whom everything belongs. So one does have some quota of being attached to your wife and kids. The scriptures allow a certain amount of attachment. I mean, we all become attached. Just like two brahmacharis, they develop an attachment, a friendly relationship, living in the ashram. They become attached to each other. There's nothing wrong. Just like, what is that prayer by Narottam Das? Ramachandra Sangha Mage Narottama Das. He says, I'm always hankering for the association of Ramchandra Chakravarti. Narottam Das Thakur is very, very attached to his fellow Vaishnava, Ramchandra Chakravarti. So is that attachment mundane? No. Narottam Das Thakur is a pure Vaishnava, and he is saying that he's always hankering for that association. So, if one is attached to one's guru, for example, I really like being with my spiritual master, sitting at his lotus feet, hearing the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Is that mundane? No. We have to have transcendental attachment. If we don't have transcendental attachment, we'll be attached to sense gratification. So we need to become attached spiritually. And if you have a service relationship, a transcendental relationship with Vaishnavas, either in the ashram or your own family members, if you're serving together, and it's not based on sense gratification, it's based on pleasing Guru and Krishna, then that is a transcendental attachment. But if you're having sense gratification, that is a mundane attachment. So the key is engage 24/7 in bhakti, and then if you're doing that, whatever attachments you have, if those attachments are helping you to become more absorbed in Krishna consciousness, those attachments are good. Okay, here. How can we get more bhakti from Krishna? No, how can you give more bhakti to Krishna? That's a proper question. Not how can I get more bhakti from Krishna, how can I give more bhakti to Krishna? Of course, we can beg for bhakti. Just like this morning, I was blessed with the opportunity to sing the Gavastakam prayers at the Samadhi for the Mangal Arti for Prabhupada. And I was praying to Prabhupada, please bless me with Prema Bhakti. Please, Prabhupada, please bless me with Prema Bhakti. So, to desire to be greedy for bhakti and to beg for it is very good. And we can, so how to get more bhakti? You can beg for it. Please, please, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Please give me pure devotional service. Please, Krishna, give me pure devotional service. You see, beg for it. That's the key. How to avoid sleeping during lectures? One devotee used to keep a water gun. He was giving the lectures. You keep a water gun. He saw somebody shooting, go shoot him with a water gun. Actually, what I do when I'm lecturing, I see somebody nodding out, I go, that usually works. When I'm giving class, I fight it too. I'm not saying I'm holier than thou. I fight it too when I'm sitting here in lectures. Especially if it ends up sleep the night before. And it's tough. One thing is, if you have a good posture, sitting, if you can be slouched like this, you see, or you can sit up. Sitting up will help. But the yogis sit straight for a purpose. It helps you be more alert. If you have a good posture, I'm not a perfect, but I'm trying. So if you sit straight, it's not like a rigid thing, but it's a relaxed sort of a sitting straight. You find a natural way of sitting straight. That can help. A good posture can help you to stay away. And if that doesn't work, stand up. If that doesn't work, rock back and forth. If that doesn't work, go to the ashram and go to sleep. Okay. We can become sick. We can take medicines, or can we go to a doctor and say that we shall take medicine? Now, if you're sick, you should do whatever works for getting you healthy. There's nothing we do. Prabhupada went to a doctor many times. Of course, by becoming Krishna conscious, one doesn't need so much doctor because you become more healthy when you come to Krishna consciousness. We have healthier diet, healthier habits. So devotee will not get as sick as a non-devotee. But still, even devotees, we get sick some. So if you need medical attention, go for a doctor. Fire, death, and disease, all three should be eradicated immediately. So if you're sick, don't neglect it. There was one boy, I think his name was Chaitanya Nanda. He had a tumor on his leg, cancer. And he completely neglected it. He continued going out on book distribution, completely ignored it. He said, just the body. And then one day the temple president in the Shah said, what is that on your body? He said, and it turned out he had terminal cancer, and he had completely neglected it. He came to Vrindavan. This is a young boy in his 20s, very fired up preacher, book distributor, you see. He should have gone to a doctor. He'd still probably be here if it hadn't been for that. Don't artificially neglect your health. Of course, he died Krishna conscious. He was a very Krishna conscious boy. He came to Vrindavan and died, left his body here. Very wonderful young boy, this book distributor from Finland. Chaitanya Nanda, wasn't that his name? I think it was Chaitanya Nanda. Oh, he was just an amazing boy. Just like you see a bull, going out to pull the plow in ecstasy in him. He would go out every day like a bull, with the books, a big thing of books. He'd just go out in ecstasy, just like plowing through the field of the material world, distributing books. He was in ecstasy on book distribution. He really relished it like anything. He was very transcendental, but if he had paid a little more attention to his body, he'd probably still be here going on book distribution, giving more people the books. Okay, this is the last question for this session. If it's a simple one, otherwise I'll postpone it. In Krishna consciousness there is a story about Kala Krishnadas, which is even within who had the association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who still fell victim of women and sex desire. For that kind of person, what's the remedy relief from sex desire? Okay. Yeah, sex desire is pretty heavy. I know, I have this thing called the Ultimate Self-Realization course on the internet. I got 15,000 people signed up for it. So I get a lot of emails. And people, they take me things they wouldn't tell their temple commander or the temple president. They tell me all this stuff, what they're going through. I mean, I really know a lot of what devotees are going through that they wouldn't normally tell the people in their temple even. Their inner dirt. A lot of devotees are struggling with sex desire. It's a big problem many, many devotees have. Masturbation also is a problem that many men have. Artificially stimulating their sexual organs. So people, again and again, people are asking me how to get free from this, how to get free from this, how to get free from this. The trick is you just have to have faith in this process that if I don't indulge myself in sex, I restrain myself, give the process of time to work. You see, that sex gives some instant so-called pleasure, very intense pleasure. But just put that away and just have faith by laying sex aside and giving this process some time to actually kick in and elevate your consciousness. You see, then you'll actually achieve that position where it no longer appeals to you. Canada, in the U.S., they always have the candy. I don't know about India. You go to the grocery store, there's a whole big candy rack there, and the little kids go, "Mommy, Mommy, I want that, I want that." And their sons, they scream, they want the candy, The parents know it's no good, this is junk for the food, it's bad for the kid. No, you can't have it. The parents are firm. No, you can't have it. So sex is always like the candy at the checkout counter, You just have to say, no, you can't have it. You have to tell you, no, you can't have it. You know, you cannot have it. Bust, finish. You see? And give the process a chance to kick in. To get that higher taste. As long as you keep indulging your sex desire, you will never get the higher taste, not even in millions and millions of lifetimes, even if chanting 16 rounds, if you can maintain it. But just when you see that candy counter there, say, no, you can't have sex. You can't have it. Even subtly, the mind thinks, well, I could just think about some beautiful woman, her breasts, her bodily parts. I could think about it. No. Don't even, if you give Maya an inch, she'll take a mile. You say, no. That's it, finished. No. Just nip it. As soon as those thoughts come, no. Some devotees get carried by pornography. They regularly look at pornography. They've got addicted to it. They can't not look at pornography. I get those kind of emails too. You just have to say no, that's all. And if you can't control yourself, take your computer and give it away. Don't even have a computer anymore. This is a very, very important thing. One cannot indulge the senses. You cannot indulge the senses. Sense gratification and Krishna consciousness go ill together. You must cut it off very staunchly. And let yourself get that higher taste. And then the addiction for sex pleasure will gradually dry up. Just like you can put a glass of water on the table here, you come back a week, it's an empty glass. Did somebody pour it out? No. Did it evaporate? Yes. Especially in Vrindavan, it evaporates very quickly. Dry atmosphere here.
So Vrindavan is a good atmosphere for drying up your heart of all the material desires as well. So take this mood of Vrindavan with you wherever you go, and you can advance quickly. So we'll stop here now. We'll meet again in 15 minutes at 12:05. Everybody can go take a break. Chant your Gayatri if you're a Brahmin initiated. Do what you need to do and be back here at 12:05 for a wonderful session on the system of gaining knowledge. Thank you very much. Transcendental Engineering ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Sriman Sankarshan Adhikari ki
Ubiquitous is the word in English. Means everywhere present. The Harinam parties were ubiquitous in every North American city. Every major North American city. But then Prabhupada was noting that our devotees weren't that well trained. We had so many people joining, but there was no good training program. So then he established this morning program with the Bhagavatam class. Jai Radha Madhava. In the beginning we didn't know the tune. Prabhupada said this should be sung, and no one knew the melody. In India they had learned. Prabhupada was doing it. In America we didn't know the tune. So one devotee, they made up a tune in Los Angeles. It was a horrible tune. They went, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balava Giri Radhavi. It wasn't a very good tune. We knew we were supposed to do it, but then Prabhupada came and we learned the melody. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Such a sweet tune, you see. So we learn, alright, this is how you do Bhagavatam. You have Jaya Radha Madhava, then everyone can chant the verse. You go and let many devotees chant the verse, you see. So we can learn the Sanskrit. In the early days of ISKCON, nobody quoted Sanskrit except for Prabhupada. He was the only one who could quote Sanskrit when he was preaching. You see, in the early days of ISKCON. Now, so many devotees can slokas, we have so many sloka experts. Especially our Dravida Prabhu. Maybe you've heard him chant the shlokas. So, these things were all being introduced. They were brand new. But this was introduced. Prabhupada said, boil the milk. He said, if you keep adding more milk to the pot, it will never get thick. Just like when you make burfi, you cook down the milk, right? So Prabhupada said, boil the milk until it becomes thick and sweet. He said, it's more important to train the devotees we have than to make new devotees. So the training was the Bhagavatam class, especially. Prabhupada said we could take every day one verse, and this way, one generation. How many years would it take to go through 18,000 verses? 365, you can do the math. And every generation can go through it again. Just keep going through the Bhagavatam again and again. This is the basic foundation for our study of the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. The morning Bhagavatam class. Every day another verse, going our way, inching our way through Bhagavatam in this way. So it's extremely important. Nashta prayeshvabhaddeshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavat yuttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regularly attending classes on the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service to that person who is a living embodiment. There's a Bhagavatam personified, the spiritual master. All that is inauspicious within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and thus loving service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental hymns, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. So we serve the spiritual master, and we study the Bhagavatam. This is what it means, Bhagavata Sevaya.
There's the book Bhagavat and the person Bhagavat. Both are very, very important. From the book Bhagavat, we learn how to recognize who is a person Bhagavat. And from the person Bhagavat, we know what is the bona fide book Bhagavat. So, from one we learn of the other. And by these two, the person Bhagavatam and the person Bhagavatam, we can become perfect. We become liberated souls. So the verse again, that very Srimad Bhagavatam, I shall recite before you, because you are the most sincere devotee of Lord Krishna. One who gives full attention and respect to hearing Srimad Bhagavatam achieves unflinching faith in the